it falls now to introduce our final speaker, Kathryn Eastwood, who is Corporate Partnerships Leader at EY Foundation. Kathryn is committed to breaking down barriers for young people living in poverty and meaningful employment. And Kathryn works closely with employers across a range of sectors to connect them to untapped talent through the EY Foundation Employability Programme. Kathryn began her career in political consultancy, working with clients in the transport, energy and infrastructure sectors, later moved into education, firstly as a secondary school history teacher, then leading partnerships for the innovative School 21 in Stratford. Kathryn, thank you for joining us today, and we really look forward to your contribution.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. For a start, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to take part in what is such an important conversation. I don't know how I managed to have to follow all of those incredible speakers and go last, but I will try and do my very best and keep it concise as well, because I'd love the chance for us to have some questions from everybody in attendance today. But by means of introduction, I'm Kathryn Eastwood. As Jacqueline said, I lead on partnerships for the EY Foundation. So today I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are, what it is we do, and some of the ways that we might be able to work with all of you and everything you've talked about so far. So the EY Foundation is an independent charity that was born out of the professional services firm EY. So we're actually quite a small charity with an unwavering focus on social mobility. So as Jacqueline said, everything that we do involves around breaking down barriers to employment for young people living in poverty in the UK. So we do this essentially by bringing young people and employers together and to take our unique position in the labour market and listen to both sides. We deliver employability programs, skills-based workshops. We support social enterprises and social entrepreneurs, and then we have quite a large alumni network that provides that wraparound support and that transition to work support for the young people that we engage with. It feels like it doesn't really matter anymore, but we do have 4 regional hubs, so we are geographically all across the UK, although we're obviously more connected than ever before to all of our colleagues and our young people, etc. And as I mentioned, we are a social mobility charity. Our focus has been on young people living in poverty. However, we know that more often than not, those are the same young people who are facing significant challenges around racial inequality. So I just think it's really important to mention that actually, as an EY Foundation, we have taken the decision to launch 11 race commitments, which I think are incredibly bold and incredibly important for us, because we want to lead by example in tackling racial inequality. And just for an example of some of those, one of them is to completely disaggregate all of our data. And we as a foundation want to stop actually using the term BAME, because we think it's too much of a broad category. And I mean, there's 11 commitments. I urge you to have a look at them, but that's an example of what we're trying to do. So again, just back to that point of intersectionality, we know that we can't think about young people who live in poverty without thinking about everything else that those young people are currently facing in their journey to employment. So I mean, I normally find it really easy to talk about why we exist, so I'm not going to go into that. However, in a post-COVID world, I think the need for us to exist as a youth unemployment charity really speaks for itself, in that you don't need me to tell you, but latest forecasts are predicting an extra 650,000 young people who will be unemployed come September. So it's incredibly daunting, but we obviously want to continue the work that we're doing, and really the need for us to act more quickly than ever before is really pertinent to us. Today, what I want to do is quickly tell you about one of the main programs that we run. That's a program called Smart Futures. And like I said, we connect young people and employers and work with both sides of the labour market. So Smart Futures is a programme that we run for 16 to 18-year-olds. Like I said, we target young people who are living in poverty. So the young people we work with are those who are eligible for free school meals. These are ambitious young people with plans to go on to further education, to university, to meaningful employment, whatever that might be. But what they don't necessarily have, despite having done really well in school and having those ambitions, they don't necessarily have that network or that foot in the door, which we all know is only still too important when it comes to employment. So what we do is work with these young people across 10 months. And for the first 2 weeks of the programme is the intensive delivery, where we will engage the young people on a paid week where they get paid for their time, which we think is incredibly important. And the first week is intensive employability skills. So that's everything from communication skills to working in a team and leadership. They do Dragon's Den style challenges where they'll work on a social problem and then present back to a panel of experts from across the sector. They work towards a CMI accredited qualification in team leadership, and essentially we do as much as we can in that first week to prepare the young people for their next week, which is a real authentic business experience. And I say authentic business experience because we work with employers to set real challenges to real problems that they face in their organizations, and to bring our young people in to work with people all across those organizations, and for both the organizations and the young people to see the incredible value that these 16, 17-year-olds can already bring to that organization, to give that different insight for them to know that they are so worthy to be there, and they can answer these challenges, they can tackle the problems, and they can present their ideas back to people in that organization of all levels and backgrounds. We've actually just last week completed one of our Smart Futures programs with a tech company, Blue Prism, and it was a really interesting one because obviously in the face of COVID and everything else, the entire program and all of our programs have been taken online. So we do everything virtually now. So for lots of our employers, this has been brand new for them as well. But the young people have gone through their employability skills through Zoom and webinar and various interactive ways to do that. They've been pitching their Dragon's Den solutions to virtual panels of CEOs and senior partners all across the country, and they've actually just completed their first experience of virtual work experience. And I think that initially sounds daunting, but if you think about the way that we all work now, we would almost be doing a disservice to our young people if we didn't teach them how to engage in Teams and Zoom calls and how to influence and how to work in a team in a virtual way. So they've been through that entire experience. More and more, we're working more deeply with employers to understand their strategic priorities, whether that's around talent, whether that's around diversity and inclusion, and to take the needs of the employers and to understand the gaps in their talent pipeline or where they're lacking within their own organisation, and to design programs that really link the two up. For me, what we do, it's a real talent piece. We talk to HR directors because these young people are the future workforce. This is not about ticking a CSR box. It's about thinking, what are you currently as an employer not doing enough of? What do you need to hold yourself accountable for? What can you do to ensure that the young people that I'm talking about today, who, like I say, I mean, I could talk all day about how much they have to offer and how much of an asset they are to any business that I speak to. So essentially what it is we can do as a foundation to link those two sides up. I want to wrap up quite quickly, but I mean, there's a million ways you could get involved with us as a foundation. So please, if any of this sounds interesting, reach out to me. But what I also would say is just think about what it is that you want to do as an organisation. It doesn't have to be work with the EY Foundation. There's lots of incredible organisations out there. We really promote collaboration, convening the right people in the room to try and understand what the big objective is and where we all fit into it. So I think really understand your place, your strengths as an organisation, whether that's as a funder, if you've got, you know, lots of money and not very much time, there's a place for you. If you've got lots of volunteers but not very much money, there's another place for you. And I just think of what I'd finish on is lead by example. Look within your own organisation. It's all well and good you saying that you'd love to support the EY Foundation and our employability programs, but if currently the way that young people come into your organisation is through a friend of a friend or a son or a daughter here and there, then that's not good enough. And you need to start by looking inside and then engaging beyond that. Very aware that was a whistle-stop tour of the EY Foundation, but please reach out to me. I'm really keen to have conversations and think about how we might be able to work together in the future.